Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is all about Tilray brands, Tilray TLRY ticker symbol, and we are going to take a look at a potential Wyckoff accumulation coming into play here for Tilray, with a potential spring phase in action right now, as all hope is lost in Tilray and the sector as a whole. But we're going to do some comparisons to the other sectors and how these spring phases in Wyckoff accumulation have worked in the past, and give a potential setup for a trade and the easy invalidations that we can be looking out for. So guys, if you like the video, give it a like, and any comments and subscriptions are appreciated. Let's get into it. So when taking a deep dive into Wyckoff accumulation and looking at the different schematics, I think it's important to understand that you're never going to get a perfect Wyckoff accumulation because it would be too easy to spot. But the aspect of the accumulation remains the same, of taking liquidity from a range that's been set for quite a while. And you can see back here for Tilray back in January, the range really was set as the PS1 here, with an initial reaction back to the upside where we've dropped down and traded here for about a year. And you can see the reactions that we've had in the trading range. We've come down, taken the lows, taken the highs, creaking along at the lows. Obviously on here on the Wyckoff accumulation, you've got the creak happening much higher, but like I say, you're never going to get a perfect Wyckoff accumulation. I think it's just important to say that. And I think right now, if you have a look at the similarities here, all these pumps back to the upside, trapping traders, trapping investors to buy these pumps. That's what the move down is for. Set the trading range at the lows with the tests to the highs, tests to the lows. 1, 2, 3, 4. Spring into action is what I think we're getting here for Tilray. So that is just an example of how Wyckoff accumulation has worked in the past. But now we need to deep dive into, well, how low can we go if this is Wyckoff accumulation? Because let me say, it doesn't have to be, but this is just an idea. If this is a spring phase, how low can we go? So I think what makes the most sense to do is just compare to previous sectors in different sectors of the stock market on how these behaviors in the markets have acted in the past, and how low them other assets have gone before then moving into that SOS 9, LPS and SOS 10, and moving back up to the top of these trading ranges, because that could potentially be a big setup for Tilray brands. So I want to compare Tilray to the uranium sector. Energy Fuels Inc. is this particular stock that we're going to be looking at, and you can see this range that was set from your POS and your range lows, taking the range lows and going up for the highs. With that move back down, you creak in the market, bit of a pump to trap traders and liquidity, getting that spring phase down below the range and then coming back up for that big massive move to the upside. And you can see where uranium is at the minute. Massive moves from there, big. You know, what was that? It was over, well, over 1,000%. So these are the accumulation ranges that we need to be looking out for when we're looking for these types of moves. So let's have a little look at how low this asset fell below the range here before moving back to the upside. And you can see it was about a 40% move to the downside in that spring phase, and you can see it's not that quick. You get a couple of weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 really before the move back up starts to begin. So we're talking about a long period of time here of fear in the market, people not wanting to buy. I don't know what the narrative was back here for the energy sector, but I know there's a bad narrative right now for Tilray, something going on with the CEO or something like that. And like I say, these bad narratives are always going to come out at the bottom of an accumulation range, just as big good news narratives will come out to make you buy up at the highs. So jumping back into Tilray right now, we've got a couple of ranges here that we can use to measure the percentage drawdown from the lower boundary. So we've got one wick here from March 2020, and we've got the wicks of liquidity down here from December 2022 and September 2022. So just taking the range low of the most recent move to the downside, have a look at that. We've got 40%, just like we did with uranium, and from the March 2020 lows, we're coming in at around a 34 and 35% drawdown. So when you're looking at an accumulation range, which it could possibly be, doesn't have to be, but if it is, we are getting to them levels where investors and the big players are going to be looking to step into the market with a nice potential free wick liquidity test of a trend line. Let's extend that to the right there. You can see we've had a nice deviation below. If we do get that weekly close back above there, it might be a sign that we've had that manipulation, max fear, coming back above, and that was your spring phase in action, and the Tilray low is in. And notably similar to the uranium sector, you can see how many weeks this has taken below this range: 1, 2, 3, 4, and it was that 5th week in the uranium sector where we saw that move finally back to the upside, a bit of a sign of strength in a spring phase, coming back up and taking a few more weeks to get back up to these levels. A reclaim of these levels would be a really good sign, because that would get people enticed at buying at these levels, traders back in the market here, whereas people don't really want to be involved in the market down here at a spring phase potential bottom. So I think what makes the most sense is to just identify a bit of an invalidation. So if we are looking for an invalidation, we'll take it from the range highs here. We're looking at around 40%, aren't we? We're looking at 40%, 42%. If we do drop to around 47, 48, at around 137, 138, 139, I would potentially have this as your invalidation. If you are going to be sort of maybe leverage playing it or looking for a leverage position, I personally just looking for spot here for Tilray. Have that as your really lower boundary. If we go further, I would not class this as maybe a spring phase. We'd then be looking at something else. It doesn't mean that we won't get a move back to the upside, but it just probably would not be accumulation where we go and set big 1000% moves like we saw with the uranium sector. So of course, this is not financial advice. It's just an idea. I spotted it, and I know there's been accumulation going on in crypto at the minute, Wyckoff accumulation potentially playing out, and the stock market's at critical levels. So if the stock market is going to plunge to all-time highs and break the highs, I would expect Tilray, part of the NASDAQ, if the NASDAQ's moving up, want to see Tilray moving back up. And we've had the narrative down at the lows about the CEO of Tilray, people not really interested, as they are usually not interested in the market at a spring phase of an accumulation. And if you type it in on Twitter, type it on YouTube, it's just going to be, well, Tilray's dead, we're never going back up. And that really is the sentiment that you want to see in the market when you're looking at a potential play like this. So of course, again, not financial advice. If you like this style of video, give it a like. Any comments, subscriptions appreciated. And yep, sit back, relax, and let the market do the work. From me, cheers guys. I'll see you next time.